Friday, July 1st edition of the Carolina Weather Video. I'm meteorologist Matthew East here with you as we're getting set to head into the 4th of July holiday weekend. And the weather not too bad, fairly typical summertime stuff getting back in here. Again today, though, for our Friday, another low humidity type of day. We had lows in the 60s again this morning, even some areas in the upper 50s, and we'll see highs today generally upper 80s and lower 90s, pretty low humidity. But the heat and humidity will build a little bit as we get into the weekend, although I have trimmed back the high temperatures just a bit for Sunday and Monday. Probably we're able to, in most spots, avoid the upper 90s, more like mid-90s with some scattered storm chances working back in. We'll get into that. Let's start off with a look at the shot from the Avalon Pier web camera this morning from along the North Carolina Outer Banks. And that's a good-looking shot. It'll be a nice sunrise there pretty soon. Temperatures not bad here across our part of the country. Look at the heat still cranking over much of the plains up into the Midwest. There's a lot of 80-degree plus readings here. Those are pre-dawn hours temperatures there in the plain states, and that's pretty ugly stuff. And we have more heat advisories and excessive heat warnings in all these peach-shaded counties, again in the plains and the Midwest. Radar imagery pretty quiet over the eastern United States. There's been a few showers down in Florida overnight. Also showers, a couple of embedded storms in Illinois and Indiana. That's dropping due south. And that will not play a role in our weather at all, except for maybe a few more thin high clouds overhead from time to time. This is the upper air pattern for us. I'll kind of illustrate it for you. You have a nice trough here of the eastern part of the country. That is really made up by a lot of very dry air. And then you get into some ridging and a lot of heat back in the nation's midsection. There's what it looks like on the model data this afternoon. And as we get into the weekend, some subtle changes, but it's enough to make a difference here. This is Independence Day evening, Monday evening. And instead of earlier this week, when it looked like the ridging would extend right into our area, now we're looking more and more like the ridging will be centered back over the Rockies and the plains and somewhat of troughing again as we get into a good chunk of next week. So that's going to keep the heat, at least the extreme heat, probably in check. And here we are next Thursday evening. Notice still some degree of troughing in the eastern part of the country. Let's get into the modeling here. This is the GFS. It's going to be a dry day here for our region. Maybe an isolated shower or storm close to the coast, but even there the chance is pretty remote. Low humidity today, and still fairly low humidity for our Saturday, although the levels of humidity begin to creep up just a bit. Highs tomorrow, probably low to mid-90s, then a lot of mid-90s, maybe a few upper 90s on Sunday, and I do think a much better chance by Sunday late afternoon and evening of seeing a few scattered storms. Same deal for Independence Day. A scattering of showers and storms, mainly during the afternoon and the evening, and I'll keep that same general idea going for Tuesday's forecast. Wednesday, maybe the coverage of storms decreasing just a bit, but really it looks like typical summertime stuff. Some highs in the 90s, lows upper 60s and low 70s, and daily chances for at least a few storms. Tropics are quiet. Didn't put any tropical stuff on today's video. There's really not a whole lot to talk about. Arlene falling apart over Mexico, and again, flooding rains continue to be the big problem with that. No other tropical developmental signs across the Atlantic Basin. All right, that is it. Everybody have a safe and happy 4th of July holiday weekend, and God bless.